OutDaughtered. Adam is helpless as Danielle's autoimmune disorder flares up from the stress of finding a nanny for the Quints exclusive. Life in the Busby household has never been quiet, but lately, it's been especially overwhelming. For fans of OutDaughtered, the story of Adam and Danielle Busby has always been about resilience, love, and teamwork in the face of extraordinary challenges. Raising America's first all-girl quintuplets while juggling careers, health struggles, and everyday family life is no small task. But behind the smiles and family photos, the pressure has been building, and now, that pressure is taking a very real toll on Danielle's health. According to those close to the family, the stress of trying to find the right nanny for the Quints has triggered a serious flare-up of Danielle Busby's autoimmune disorder, leaving Adam feeling helpless as he watches his wife struggle. It's a moment that reveals just how fragile balance can be, even for a family that has faced more than most. Danielle Busby has never been one to complain. Over the years, viewers have seen her push through pain, exhaustion, and uncertainty with determination and grace. But autoimmune disorders don't care how strong someone is. They strike when the body is overwhelmed, and stress is often one of the biggest triggers. As the Busbys search for reliable childcare to help manage their growing responsibilities, the emotional strain has quietly been building until Danielle's body finally said, "Enough." For Adam Busby, watching this unfold has been heartbreaking. As a husband and father of 6 daughters, he's used to being the problem solver, the steady presence, the one who steps in when things get tough. But this time, there's no quick fix, no checklist, no easy solution. Just the reality that the woman he loves is in pain, and the stress causing it comes from circumstances they can't simply escape. The journey to this breaking point didn't happen overnight. Since welcoming the Quints into the world, the Busbys have relied on help from family, friends, and hired caregivers. In the early years, the need for constant support was obvious. 5 babies of the same age require round-the-clock care, and even with Adam and Danielle working as a team, exhaustion was unavoidable. As the girls grew older and more independent, the hope was that things would get easier. In many ways, they did. The Quints began attending school, developing their own personalities, and taking on small responsibilities. But new challenges replaced the old ones. Homework schedules, extracurricular activities, emotional needs, and the logistics of managing 6 children all became part of the daily equation. Finding a nanny who could keep up with that pace and truly understand the Busby family dynamic has proven far more difficult than expected. This wasn't just about hiring someone to watch the kids. It was about finding a person who could step into a high-pressure environment, handle 5 energetic girls at once, and align with the Busby's values and parenting style. Each failed attempt added another layer of stress. Missed expectations, scheduling conflicts, trust issues, the emotional labor of constantly training someone new. And all the while, Danielle's health was quietly deteriorating. Danielle has been open in the past about her struggles with an autoimmune disorder, a condition that affects her energy levels, causes chronic pain, and can flare up unpredictably. Stress is a known trigger, and as the nanny search dragged on, her symptoms became harder to ignore. Fatigue deepened. Pain intensified. Simple daily tasks became overwhelming. For Adam, the shift was impossible not to notice. He could see the toll it was taking not just physically, but emotionally. Danielle wasn't just tired. She was drained, frustrated, worn down by the feeling that no matter how hard she tried, things weren't stabilizing. There's a particular kind of helplessness that comes from watching someone you love suffer when you can't take the pain away. Adam has spoken before about how difficult it is to balance being supportive while also managing his own stress. He wants to be strong for Danielle, but he's human too. Seeing her health decline because of circumstances tied to their family's needs only adds to the emotional weight he carries. The pressure of public life doesn't help. As reality TV stars, Adam and Danielle live much of their lives in the public eye. Fans cheer them on, but there's also constant scrutiny. Every decision is analyzed. Every struggle becomes a topic of conversation. While the Busbys are grateful for the support, it doesn't make their challenges any easier. Behind closed doors, the reality is far more complex. The nanny search became a symbol of something larger, the constant juggling act between family, health, work, and expectations. Danielle felt the weight of wanting everything to run smoothly, while knowing her body was pushing back harder each day. At times, Adam found himself stepping in more than ever, trying to shield Danielle from additional stress. He took on extra responsibilities, adjusted his schedule, and did everything he could to lighten her load. But even with his efforts, the underlying issue remained. Stress doesn't disappear just because someone else tries to absorb it. What makes this situation particularly painful is that it comes from a place of love. The Busbys aren't searching for a nanny out of convenience or luxury. They're doing it because they want to be the best parents possible. They want to ensure their daughters get the attention, structure, and care they deserve. But that same desire has unintentionally become a source of harm. Danielle's autoimmune flare-up served as a wake-up call. It forced the family to confront the reality that something had to change, not just in terms of childcare, but in how they prioritize health and well-being. No amount of organization or planning can override the body's limits. Adam's emotional response has resonated deeply with fans. His vulnerability, his honesty about feeling helpless, and his willingness to admit that he doesn't have all the answers have made this chapter especially relatable. Many parents watching from home understand that feeling all too well, the sense that you're doing everything you can, yet it still doesn't feel like enough. The Busby's story highlights an often overlooked truth. Stress doesn't always come from dramatic events. Sometimes, it builds quietly through everyday challenges. A scheduling issue here, a childcare setback there, a growing list of responsibilities that never seems to shrink. Over time, those small pressures can have serious consequences. Danielle's health struggles also shine a light on the invisible nature of autoimmune disorders. From the outside, someone may look fine. They may even appear to be thriving. But internally, their body is fighting a constant battle. Stress can tip the scales, turning manageable symptoms into debilitating flare-ups. For Danielle, this flare-up wasn't just physical. It was emotional. The frustration of wanting to be present for her kids while feeling limited by her body weighed heavily on her. Like many parents with chronic illnesses, she faced the guilt of feeling like she wasn't doing enough, even though she was already pushing herself beyond reasonable limits. Adam's role during this time became one of emotional anchor. He listened. He reassured. He reminded Danielle that her health matters just as much as any logistical challenge. But even with love and support, the situation remained difficult. Healing takes time, and reducing stress isn't as simple as checking something off a to-do list. The nanny search, once a practical task, transformed into an emotional minefield. Every interview carried hope and the risk of disappointment. Every delay felt heavier than the last. And with each setback, Danielle's body reacted accordingly. Eventually, the family had to take a step back and reassess their priorities. No solution would be perfect, but something had to give. Whether that meant adjusting expectations, changing schedules, or accepting temporary chaos, the Busbys recognized that Danielle's health couldn't be sacrificed in the process. This chapter of OutDaughtered reveals a more vulnerable side of the Busby family, one that isn't always highlighted amid the laughter and milestone moments. It's a reminder that even families who appear to have it all together are still navigating unseen struggles. For Adam, the experience reinforced a hard truth. You can't control everything. As much as he wants to fix things, protect his family, and keep everything running smoothly, some challenges require patience rather than action. Being present, empathetic, and willing to adapt became just as important as finding practical solutions. Fans have responded with an outpouring of support, sharing their own experiences with chronic illness, parenting stress, and the emotional toll of caregiving. Danielle's openness has helped many feel seen and understood, while Adam's honesty has shown that vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's part of being human. As the Busbys continue their journey, this moment stands as a turning point. Not because it marks the end of their struggles, but because it underscores the importance of listening to the body, setting boundaries, and acknowledging when something isn't working. Danielle's autoimmune flare-up may have been triggered by stress, but it also sparked reflection. It reminded the family that their strength doesn't come from pushing endlessly forward, it comes from knowing when to pause, adjust, and take care of one another. Adam may feel helpless at times, but his presence, compassion, and willingness to adapt speak volumes. And Danielle's courage in facing her health challenges with honesty continues to inspire those watching from home. In the end, the story isn't just about a nanny search or a health scare. It's about the reality of modern parenting, the unseen costs of stress, and the deep love that holds a family together even when things feel overwhelming. The Busby's journey is far from over, but one thing remains clear. Through every flare-up, every setback, and every difficult decision, they continue to show what it means to face life's challenges together imperfectly, vulnerably, and with unwavering love. As the days passed, it became clear that Danielle's flare-up wasn't something that could be ignored or pushed through. Her body was sending signals that rest was no longer optional. What once felt like manageable discomfort had evolved into a level of exhaustion that seeped into every part of her life. Simple routines felt heavy. Decisions that once came easily now required more energy than she had to give. For Adam, the shift was alarming. He had seen Danielle push through difficult seasons before, but this time felt different. There was a fragility in her strength that worried him. He wasn't just watching his wife struggle physically, he was watching her wrestle emotionally with a fear of losing control over the life she worked so hard to manage. Danielle has always been the organizer, the planner, the one who keeps the household moving forward. When her health began to falter, it shook the entire rhythm of the family. The Quints sensed it too. Children are perceptive, especially when their parents are under strain. Even without fully understanding what was happening, the girls could feel the tension, the fatigue, the quiet moments where their mom needed to sit instead of stand. Adam found himself stepping into roles he hadn't fully occupied before, not because he wasn't capable, but because necessity demanded it. Morning routines, after-school coordination, emotional check-ins, everything required more intentional effort. And while Adam rose to the occasion, the emotional weight of knowing why he had to do so never left him. There's a unique kind of stress that comes from feeling like your family's needs are directly impacting your partner's health. Adam couldn't shake the guilt. The nanny search, meant to ease pressure, had instead become the trigger for something far more serious. He questioned every decision. Could they have handled things differently? Should they have slowed down sooner? Should they have accepted less than perfect solutions earlier? But hindsight offers clarity that the moment rarely does. At the time, the Busbys were simply trying to survive another busy chapter of life, juggling work commitments, parenting demands, and public expectations while hoping that the right support would eventually fall into place. Danielle, meanwhile, struggled with emotions she didn't often voice. Beneath the physical pain was frustration with her own body for not cooperating, frustration with the circumstances that made rest feel like a luxury, and frustration with the internal pressure to be everything for everyone. Autoimmune disorders don't follow predictable patterns. One day can feel manageable, the next completely overwhelming. For Danielle, the unpredictability made planning nearly impossible. She didn't know how she would feel from one morning to the next, and that uncertainty only added to her stress. Adam did what he could to create stability. He reassured her that it was okay to slow down, that the family would adjust, that nothing, not schedules, not expectations, not outside opinions mattered more than her health. But even reassurance can only go so far when someone feels like they're letting others down. What made this period especially difficult was the sense that there was no clear end in sight. The nanny situation remained unresolved, and every day without a solution felt like another test of endurance. Interviews came and went. Promising leads fell through. And with each disappointment, the emotional toll deepened. The experience forced the Busbys to confront a reality many families face, but rarely talk about openly: the idea that doing everything right doesn't guarantee things will work out smoothly. Sometimes, effort alone isn't enough. Sometimes, circumstances demand compromise, even when compromise feels uncomfortable. Danielle's flare-up became a turning point, not just medically, but emotionally. It forced conversations that may have otherwise been postponed. Conversations about limits, about expectations, about redefining what success looks like for their family in this season of life. Adam admitted that feeling helpless was one of the hardest emotions to process. He's used to being proactive, to taking action, to fixing problems as they arise. But health doesn't operate on timelines or logic. Watching Danielle navigate pain without being able to intervene left him feeling powerless in a way he hadn't experienced before. And yet, in that helplessness, there was growth. Adam learned that presence can be just as powerful as action. Sitting with Danielle, listening without trying to solve, acknowledging her pain without minimizing it. These moments, quiet and unremarkable on the surface, became the foundation of support she needed most. The girls, too, adapted in small but meaningful ways. They showed more patience, more empathy, more awareness. It wasn't something that was forced or explained in detail. It happened naturally, through observation and love. In many ways, the challenge brought the family closer, even as it tested them. Fans watching from the outside saw a different side of the Busbys during this time. Less polished, more vulnerable, more honest about the cost of constantly pushing forward. And that honesty resonated deeply. Parents dealing with chronic illness recognized Danielle's struggle. Caregivers understood Adam's helplessness. Families juggling work and childcare felt seen in the chaos of the nanny search. The Busby story became a mirror for countless households navigating similar stress behind closed doors. Danielle's openness about her autoimmune disorder helped break down misconceptions. It highlighted how invisible illnesses can be just as debilitating as visible ones. How strength doesn't mean ignoring pain. And how asking for help isn't a failure, it's a necessity. Slowly, the family began making adjustments. Some expectations were lowered. Some routines were simplified. Perfection took a back seat to sustainability. These changes didn't solve everything overnight, but they created space for healing, space for rest, and space for perspective. Adam emphasized that no solution is worth sacrificing health. That lesson, learned through difficulty, reshaped how they approached future decisions. The nanny search was no longer just about convenience or structure. It became about protecting the well-being of the entire family, especially Danielle. Through it all, Danielle showed remarkable resilience. Not the kind that ignores hardship, but the kind that acknowledges it and keeps moving forward at a gentler pace. She allowed herself to rest without guilt, to admit when she needed help, to accept that her body's limits weren't something to fight, but something to respect. Adam's support never wavered. Even in moments of uncertainty, he remained steady, not because he had all the answers, but because he was willing to walk through the unknown alongside her. That partnership, built over years of shared challenges, proved stronger than any single setback. As this chapter of OutDaughtered comes into focus, it serves as a reminder that family life isn't defined by perfection. It's defined by adaptability, compassion, and the willingness to prioritize what truly matters when circumstances become overwhelming. The stress of finding a nanny may have sparked Danielle's flare-up, but it also sparked a deeper understanding within the family. An understanding that health must come first, that stress deserves attention, and that slowing isn't isn't giving up, it's surviving. Adam may have felt helpless at times, but his empathy, patience, and unwavering presence spoke louder than any solution ever could. And Danielle's journey through this flare-up stands as a testament to the strength it takes to listen to your body, even when the world demands more. The Busby story continues, as all stories do, evolving, imperfect, and deeply human. And through every challenge, they remind viewers that resilience isn't about never struggling. It's about choosing love, understanding, and balance in the moments when struggle feels unavoidable.